Tonight on Kickoff, we go west, way west, even further than Henderson, to the most remote city on the planet, Perth. Two legacies go on the line when the Wallaroos try to break the Black Ferns' perfect record. The Parched Wallabies try to break the 16-year Bledisloe Cup drought. We're in with Tim Horan. But this Shadow World Cup AB side is stacked and determined not to be that team. As always, surprises, dad jokes and some questionable chat. Let's kick it off.
Welcome to the kickoff, guys. Let's get started, because I've just had 2 hours in the green room going over Israel Dag's highlights. I can't wait. Let's go, let's get it.
You asked him to do that, didn't you? Oh, mate.
Nice.
Hey, well, that's what you just made me go to.
Back, man.
Last show.
Seen you last week.
Brent Hall, Israel Dag, James Parsons, of course, Carlton Anna. Great to have you all on the show. This week we've gone in age order, basically. Youngest to oldest.
Hey.
Koro.
Wow.
Hey.
Oh, Koro in the end there.
Rudolph, you're a bit sniffly with the old crookness.
I am a little bit sick.
It's good to be one in. Normally I'm in that seat.
You're a pro because you were on this show basically for the last 2 years, so you've been on the couch longer than we have.
Yeah, well, obviously didn't do too well because I haven't been on for a while.
Well, you're back.
You're still playing,
Thanks for
Do a
having me.
good job
Thanks for having
tonight.
me.
Do a good job tonight. And if you missed the last sort of 5 minutes, well, as you can see, someone's repping the Taniwha tonight.
Up the tummies. What a great start to the Mitre Cup, eh? The good guys win.
Yep.
Down south.
These Mitre 10 Cup teams struggle already. You go over there and steal all their gears.
Oh, yes. Hey, thanks, Ali, by the way. Thank you, Ali, for all the gears. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next week. I'm up there for the Auckland game as well. Get the rest of my kit.
First time looking at he's not wearing his sub-suit.
Tight-fitting trackies there, browser tight. Cinnamon tight.
Well, if you're a rugby lover, this is the perfect weekend for you because there is so much rugby on. It's actually ridiculous. The Rugby Championship kicks off in Perth. The Wallaroos against the Black Ferns, first of all. That's from 6:30 p.m. And then the Wallabies against the All Blacks. There's captioning and there's also TDL commentary as well. So get involved in that. Ireland are taking on Italy. England up against Wales, where Willie Hines may make his debut for England.
The Crusaders,
Good Crusaders, man.
Crusaders, man.
Best Crusaders halfback I know.
And the Pacific Nations Cup is also on. It's the decider between Japan and the USA. But our first game that we're talking about is the Wallaroos against the Black Ferns. Prime time, 6:30 p.m. from Perth. That's live in New Zealand time, so it's a very, very good time on Saturday. And if you think the Wallabies' record is bad against the All Blacks, well, the Wallaroos is a wee bit worse against the Black Ferns. They've never beaten them, 16-0, which means they are really trying to get their Laurie O'Reilly trophy for themselves the first time this weekend. Let's take a look at their team list, though, because their coach, Matt Tink, from Australia, well, he said we might think we have their measure. Is an upset on the cards? It could be. Australia, they have welcomed back Liz Patu, the Kiwi-born prop. Fantastic person to bring back on your team, KT.
Yeah, former captain. You know, she was out sitting down for a little bit, was a naughty girls, but she's come back in, especially in the front row. You know, it's really going to be solidified. I know they're quite confident. They come off, I think, beating Japan 3 games against them. Well, 2 games, yeah. But our girls have just come back from playing in the top 4 teams in the world. So I think it's going to be a little bit of a rude awakening for the Wallaroos. Well,
we will see. Here's the backline. Formidable backline for our Kiwi women. Nearly 200 caps between them. A number of names that stand out there, Izzy.
Yeah, I like Salika Winiata. She's outstanding at the back. She's only a small girl and she plays above her weight. She's,
Number
she's
15, of course.
Of course.
Well, she's the only one I really know. And Renee Wycliffe. She's
Do your research, Izzy.
No,
2 new faces in the back, on the bench actually for New Zealand, Olivia Ward-Duin and Kilisa Tana Moata-Ane, which is fantastic.
Well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, I see that you didn't offer to do that name, did you?
Absolutely not. Hope you go well.
OK, well, we talk about the All Blacks and their fantastic legacy, but the Black Ferns, well, they have a fair legacy of their own to live up to. As you know, as we've said, they have a 16-0 record against Australia. Can they keep on winning, Bryn?
Yeah, I think they will. I think coming back to KT's point, you know, we haven't lost against them, so I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening come Saturday night. I know they're going to be excited going into Perth and being the curtain raiser for the All Blacks. So having that kind of pressure on them, I think they'll flourish in that sense. So no, really looking forward to it.
Their coach, as I said, Matt Tink, he said that they could have their measure, which means potentially an upset. I suppose they have to talk like that.
Well, you got to go into game confidence and you got to get the girls to to be upbeat about it. And I've played Aussies many a times, and before those test matches, they're the hardest test matches you play. Any game where you're playing Tim Bolly cricket against Australia, it's always going to be a tough battle. So you got to go on with confidence.
And for our women, I suppose it's no different to our men playing against Australia. They're our neighbours. They're the team that they want to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing out of the Super Series, they had short turnarounds, didn't get the preparation they want. They were speaking this week, they like that they've had the full week. So I think that's even more dangerous going into it, especially for the Wallaroos. And I mean, we sort of touched on Tinky's approach before, and there's no doubt that they'll know how to party after the game, knowing that man.
Well, Ruahei Demont was running the cutter during that Super Series, and she's back at 10 this weekend as well. Relatively new, she's only had 9 caps, but having someone like Kendra Coxedge next to her must help.
Oh, yeah, totally. With that experience on the inside, but she's already also got experience on the outside and a lot of weapons there, So she's stepping into a pretty big hole in that number 10 with Naftali Sabritski not there anymore. So, I mean, if she's, I'm sure she'll be sweet with the game plan. And, if you sleep on her or sleep on Kendra Coxedge, there's going to be opportunities for her to run.
She's had a bit of a few injuries in her. She had 3 knee construction, over her career so far. So this more game time she's getting is going to help her going forward.
How does she unleash her backs? How does she get the best out of them?
I think just with that, obviously with Kendra being there, it's going to be massive for them. But I'm really excited to see Chelsea Ailey and Carla Hohepa. Obviously, you see the Instagrams and that kind of stuff, they're pretty close. So I think that connection is going to be important. And coming back to Izzy's point, Winiata out there as well, and Wycliffe as well. So it's going to be exciting for the backs.
They just actually Instagram. Jim's done, so they're prepared well this week. Kendra, there you go.
Just on Chelsea, though, she is a natural 10, plays 10 for Waikato, so I think she'll help unload that pressure to set the back 3 alight that Izzy's really excited about.
And you talk about exciting. Well, this is exciting for the women's game because our Black Ferns have already played 4 tests this year. Australia have played 2. This weekend will be 5 and 6. It's fantastic. The women's game is growing, and so it should as well. We're going to move on now from the Laurie O'Reilly Memorial Trophy and talk about the Bledisloe Cup because no team has ever won the Tri-Nations or the Rugby Championship in the same year as winning a Rugby World Cup. Hasn't been done. The curse of the cup. Is it a real thing? Is it a thing? Is it a thing?
South
You've all
Africa.
heard about
You
it.
can have it this year. You can have it, and we'll take the World Cup.
I don't know.
It's quite a good stat, eh? Like,
It's obviously.
What's a myth?
A lot of superstitious people out there. I guess when you're playing in the All Blacks, being in that environment, you go in there, you don't want to lose. So these guys don't intentionally go out there to lose.
No, exactly. But what happens in World Cup years then? It's obviously not as important.
I think it's a good opportunity as well. Like I think you have a lot of new guys coming in. Not new guys, but just combinations just before the World Cup. So I think you saw in 2011 they actually took a different team even before going to the World Cup. So I think they kind of tinker, and we're probably going to see that on the weekend with some new combinations going forward.
With the point differential as well, though, they technically could win and still lose that cup. So they'll still be gaining for the win.
So if they win it, are we panicking or?
No. Are you?
Are you panicking?
I reckon everyone else is. I
You were saying the green room, you were stressed.
No, I don't care.
Not because you're there yet.
I'm not there anymore.
Okay, let's move on to the game. The All Blacks taking on Australia. It is the Trans-Tasman rivalry going down from Perth at Optus Stadium, which is sold out this weekend. Expect 66,000 to fill the cricket stadium. It is going to be huge. And Steve Hanson's already said they don't care about the Rugby Championship. They care about the Bledisloe Cup, though. And, of course, that is on the line. If the All Blacks win this weekend, well, they lock up the Bledisloe Cup for another year since they are the current holders. But do you think Australia will be better this weekend? It's been 2002 was the last time that they had that trophy.
I actually think, their forward pack's scrummed extremely well. They've laid a great platform, and they butchered a couple of tries in South Africa that would have put scoreboard pressure in that first half, but South Africa obviously ran away with it. They weren't as clinical as they'd like, but still got the result against Argentina. I think they'll be more of a threat, more of a force than people know. And I like the selection, obviously, of O'Connor at centre. I know everyone loves Kurajani, but defensively, in the past, that's where they've leaked the tries between Karevi and Kurajani. So I think
we'll talk about them a little bit later on. But here are the team list. Steve Hansen said he was going to put his best team possible out there in the forwards. Well, normal order resumes with Dane Coles back in jersey number 2.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have obviously looked at the 6, 7, 8 pick there, but I think it's Dane Coles coming back and Scotty Barrett in the boot. I mean, in the middle row as well, because our lineup wasn't that hot in Wellington, So Coles is going to bring that accuracy there. Plus, he's going to bring a lot more mongrel in that front row.
And if we look at the backs here, well, Bowden Barrett, Richie Mo'unga, 10 and 15. Again, Anton Leonard-Brown is playing 12. But on the bench, well, there's some interesting selections for New Zealand on the bench. Izzy, what stands out to you?
Well, they've got big Paddy Tuipulotu coming off the bench. He brings a lot of mungo as well. And then you got our good mate Angus Ta'aval. Good to see him on the bench.
We're never going to see him back on kickoff.
I know, but good to see him get another opportunity. And obviously Matt Todd, the loose forward trio, they've already got 2 solid loose forwards on there, so one of them will go to 8. I'm picking. Maybe Rito will go off, and then Toddy will come on and Savia go to 8.
And we'll go into detail about that. But first of all, it is our big match-up, and we're talking about the wee nifty halfbacks. We're talking about Nick White and Aaron Smith, and this is your domain, so you can jump right into this.
No, I think Nick White's going to be it's an awesome selection, I think.
Over Will Genia.
Well, again, Tim Horan, we talked about him earlier. We had a chat to him on Skype, but we're going to, sorry. For our viewers, we're going to be talking to Tim Horan, so just to let you know. But look, I think they've got to do something different. You know, Will Guinness, I rate him. I rate him as one of the best halfbacks in the world, but you just got to be able to do something different. And he's got a great kicking game that he'd had at the Brumbies in his time in Europe. And obviously, Aaron Smith, he's coming back into the fold with TJ starting the test last time against the South Africans in Wellington. So.
Here are the stats. What interests you about this? What about the kicks in play? 4 from Nick White to 0 from Aaron Smith. Yeah,
I think the last 2 games that the All Blacks have played, they've gone away from kicking off 9. I think TJ didn't kick, and Aaron Smith, through the stats we can see, there hasn't kicked. So it must be a strategy that the All Blacks have. Interesting because Nuggie, he's a great kicker.
You've got Ben Smith on the wing, and he's probably the best contesting chaser in the game. So I think this week they'll probably go back to it. Previously, they've had Falau back there, which has been hard to kick to them, but this week I think they'll go back to it.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, I know I'm asking forward here, but I'm going to. I'm talking about both things. You know about halfback.
Come at me.
Will Aaron Smith in there help the Richie Mo'unga, Beauden Barrett 10-15 combination?
Yeah, I think it will, but not just because he's a sharp passer and all that. I think they'll get less pressure at the breakdown. Aussie naturally will go hard early, and if it's not on, they'll spread, whereas South Africa will just keep hitting, as we saw with that physical nature, which can slow and disrupt your ball. And, you know, I think it did open it up and gave Richie time on the ball, and he had a little bit more confidence in the saddle. So he'll be a different player as well coming into this test. So it's not just the selection of Aaron over TJ, because I think TJ's been fantastic as well. But I think, you know, it will just shore things up a little bit, you know, against a different opposition.
Well, there's been many names for it. The dual playmaker, this new partnership that's going on. I'm calling it the Bo'unga, a match made in heaven.
Bo'unga? Wow.
Beauden, Richie Mo'unga.
Nice, I like that.
You know, Bo'unga.
Nice,
make it work.
What was that again?
The experiment, though, it takes another gear this weekend, KT. Did you like what you saw in Wellington, and what do they need to do this week?
Yeah, I mean, the foundations were laid, you know, and Jip just spoke about it, the pressure that South Africa applied defensively, and they're still in the second half able to readjust, and that's the thing between that combination. Even though they were suffocated that first 40 minutes, they come out at the start of that second half able to punch holes, you know. So I think the more game time they get together, leading in to the World Cup's going to be even better.
Because they are still a new combination together, is this somewhere possibly that the Wallabies could exploit?
Oh, I don't think so. I think, you know, it doesn't matter who plays there. I think they're obviously going to try to exploit them. I'm just really stoked that they're sticking at it. Obviously, you know, there was mixed messages throughout the media and people were thinking of 10 and 15, but I'm really stoked that Richie gets another chance and Bodie at fullback as well.
I think the thing is with those two, Richie's a very different player to Bodie, you know, and I think that's the difference that those two have compared to other teams like the Wallabies who do it as well, but they have two similar playmakers, whereas Richie can go to the line, whereas Bodie's more of a around the corner type of guy.
And this ain't going to happen overnight. This is their second opportunity. I spoke to Reid after the game. They only had a week together before the South African test, so they got another week. They'll be better, the whole team.
OK, well, Steve Hansen has let loose in the loose forwards anyway. He's managed to fit his 3 best players onto the park, despite earlier last month actually saying that Ardie Savia wouldn't play 6, but he is. How do we feel about this? Who's excited?
Probably didn't pick Liam Squire taking a sabbatical. Hey, I love it. I actually love it, yeah.
From a hooking point of view, a little bit shorter in the line out, so it cuts options off there, and it hasn't been a strength of ours so far. So, you know, if it doesn't go to plan, you know, you could even see Scott Barrett maybe moving to 6 and Paddy coming into lock to open up those options if it doesn't happen. And I think against Northern Hemisphere teams, I don't know if it's a mix that would work, especially with the set-piece dominated sort of packs.
That's why Ford's on here. Hey, all the backs are just like...
That's what you got to do. He's got to forward that.
I didn't even think about the line out. I was like, you can lift him.
That's all I thought about it. It's like,
lift him by his ankles, he'll get higher.
Because of this combination, having all 3 of them on there, that means Matt Todd is on the bench. Has he almost guaranteed his spot on the plane?
I think that it shows that they're tending to move towards that sort of makeup, and I think with Brodie's injury and Scott's ability to play 6, it's opened up carrying 3 sevens, and Artie's ability to play 8.
Okay, well, you talked about Scott Barrett. Scott Barrett has returned. He had his arm in a cast, his hand in a cast. We did not like seeing him, but he's back, and apparently he's incredibly fit. But you saw that in feed, didn't you, Ezzy? You see it all the time in training.
You saw it, actually. You told me. You had a little peek.
He's a
absolute machine. Got a hell of a setup, and he's a physical man, Brendan. You've seen him close up in those rucks, and he's just so physically dominant. He's a huge specimen, and
obviously, it's pretty disappointing that Brodie's out, but what a great opportunity for Scooter to come back from injury and to stamp his mark going into a World Cup. So I'm really looking forward to it.
What does he bring that's different to Brodie Retallick in that position?
Well,
a bit faster, probably.
Yeah, I don't think it's a lot though. Like he's sort of moulded in the same vein. Like you've spoken about, maybe appearance-wise, physically they might look a little bit different, but they sort of are like-for-like customers. Only thing different is a bit of experience, but I think he'll still offer it. And you spoke about how he's a physical beast. You guys play with him. I've got to play against him, and I've been folded a few times, so I know what he can do. He's about that tough work.
And I think as well, don't underestimate obviously him being able to cover 6.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be awesome. So coming back to Jipper's point, if we're not getting what we want in that department, he can always pop in a 6 as well.
To get serious for a wee minute, he hasn't played since the Super Rugby semi-finals, 29th of June. That's 6 weeks. Lacking match fitness, or will he just slot straight back in while they've started him?
No, I'll be fine. I think he'll be completely
I reckon it's because where his injury is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still run, you can still do a lot of conditioning with that form of injury, so I don't think he'll be too far off the pace.
Right. OK, well, we've got people everywhere. We've got people in Perth. Ricky Jane Swinnell is over there. She caught up with Anton Leonard-Brown and asked him if he could pick anyone on the panel who would join him as a teammate.
Here we go.
Who is it?
Rip Dagger up. Rip him up.
Be silly.
I'll probably have to be Izzy Dag pre here, when he had his old hair. Because that Izzy Dag was the man, and I spent a bit of time with him, so I really enjoyed the old, the whatever it's called, balding dagger. I'm someone that likes a low fade, bit short on top, so that slick look, and I'm running out with someone who's got a pretty out there mullet. But good on him. I think it was Guzzler and Sammy who started the movement, and I think their missus told them they had to cut it off. But Jack's still there. He's the last man standing, so good on him. And what a guy! What a great man!
What a guy!
What a guy! Oh, you can't fault him.
It just brought back memories. I got rid of them, mate. I'll never wear a beanie
What
again.
happened? What happened to that, Izzy, though?
Oh, I actually got hair treatment yesterday and I sorted out my lid. Man, I loved it.
Good on you, boy.
He talks about the midfield and he talks about running out with this guy that's got a bloody sweet lid, and he's talking about Jack Goodhue, isn't he? Here he is. He's playing 13. Anton's playing 12. What do you think of this combination?
I'm so excited to see this combination. I think, obviously, with Crotts, Sonny and Nani have been in the 12, but for Anton, with the amount of consistency he's had over the last 3-4 years, it's a great opportunity for him to be at 12. So, look, I'm really looking forward to it. I know Jack loves playing against him as well, holds him in high stead, so I'm really looking forward to it.
He's only had 4 starts at 12 in the international arena, James.
Yeah, I think it's purely because he's, with the dual playmaker role, it's sort of opened up what they can do on the bench, because those, normally you've got to carry a 10 on the bench to cover a 10. So because I've got them both on the field, it's opened up for him to start, because he's sort of owned that 23 jersey for so long, and the impact he's had, he's almost played too well off the bench to get the starts. Now with that dual playmaker, it opens up an opportunity with him and a few injuries as well.
I think a lot of times people forget too, Brodie was very much in that vein for a long time as well, and he got a lot of tests under his belt before he became the starter. So, I mean, there's no rush for Anton to be a starter, if you know what I mean.
He's a star anyway, isn't
he? Yeah. I mean, when he come right from the get-go, his first test, I remember him playing, he's just so solid,
Aussie, Wellington.
And Nani's on the bench, Nani Laumape. What can we read into that decision, those three there?
Oh, he's going to get a run, that's for sure. He's going to run over the top of someone. That's what he's there to do. He's a very different player to Anton. You know what I mean? And that's the change-up and combination they'll want to see under pressure. So excited for him. He knows this is his one chance to try and solidify a World Cup spot.
OK, well, you teased it for us. We are going to go back to Australia. We're going to go to Perth, to a former Wallaby and turned Fox commentator Tim Horan joins us now. And Tim, it's your first time on Skype. How is it?
Great to be here. My daughter showed me how to get the app on Skype, so Yeah, excited. It's 60-odd thousand people going to be here in Perth. Everyone's sort of rocking into the airport today, and as we just scan around to the right here, sort of middle of winter here in Australia. There's a pool down here. We're about to sort of get the speedos on and have a swim in the pool later.
Oh, budgies.
Get your kit off.
Get the budgies out.
Come on, mate.
Mate, well, there'll be no likes to me. We know that if you get the snugglers out. But I want to ask you, there's a lot of bit of chatter between the two coaches. I know you used to talk a bit of smack when you're playing days. Are you liking that part of it between Hansen and Cheika?
Yeah, I love it, isn't it? New Zealand underdogs, they're probably about 10-1 outsiders, so I think the Wallabies are a great chance. I want what Steve Hansen's drinking.
Hey, Tim, Bryn here, mate. Just a bit of curiosity. Obviously, Nick White starting in. Obviously, Will Guinea has been played a lot of tests for the Wallabies, and just like to think what your thoughts would be on Nick White starting on the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's a good call, actually, Bryn, and I'm a huge fan of yours, Bryn, too. How you played the last 5
He signed up for another 3 years, Timmy.
Thanks,
He signed up for 3 more years.
Thank you.
No, I think Nick White, I think it's probably the right call to have him there. Will Guinea, I think for us, we've done the same thing for such a long time now and picked players. We actually got to mix it up a bit. That's why you got Nick White at scrum half, then you got James O'Connor who's playing at number 13. That's a brave call, big call, and leaving Samu Karevi at 12. So I think it's a brave call by the selectors, but we have to try something.
G'day, Tim. James Parsons here, mate. You touched on James O'Connor there at 13. Are you looking forward to welcoming the party boy back to Brisbane?
Here we go. Hopefully he'll be sober enough to play on Saturday night, but...
Perth is his old stomping ground.
No, I think he's a wonderful player. He's 29 now, and he's mature off the field as well as on the field now. I think you don't see a lot of James O'Connor joking and laughing around at training anymore. He's quite serious, guys. So we're hoping that he can be the X factor on Saturday night. As I said, it'll probably be a ground record here in Perth at Optus Stadium. So everyone's looking forward to it.
Hey, Timmy, Izzy Dag here, bud. Good to see you. Just a quick question. You're a bit of a party animal yourself, so I'm heading to Noosa, Brisbane next week. So where do I go, bud? What do I do?
Izzy, I might come up with you. There's a couple of...
I look forward to seeing you, mate.
If you've got a bit of a sore back, there's a very good masseur up there.
My back's always sore, mate. I'm carrying this whole team over here.
Oh, no. Oh, well, thank you so much, Tim. Just before you go, who's on the camera? Because they're shaking a wee bit. Can we get you to turn it around?
This is my cameraman. We got the...
Oh, Greg Clark, Sparky.
Good on him.
Thank you guys so much. I want to say good luck to you this weekend because I think you'll need it. But thanks for coming on.
See you guys. Looking forward to it.
Cheers, man. Thank you very much.
Marty Sevilla at number 6. He should be on the wing.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See you, boys.
See you guys. Right. Got your smugglers?
Oh, wow. Good on them, man.
I've lost it.
Well, they were good, weren't they? They were good.
It was great.
We don't have long, though, so we're going to quickly touch on Australia, the big talking point. James O'Connor.
Bad boys.
Oh, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when I come for you, bad boys? Nah. Actual. How good?
Actual.
He's starting at 13.
How good?
Yeah.
Nah,
Is this the ultimate redemption story?
Well, he went bush for a couple of weeks and found his Wairua and found his zen, and he's back from the dead, and he's looking good. He's got good quads there. Solid set of pops from him as well. Nah, it'll be interesting to see how he goes this week. He's been out of the Test match for a very long time. So, yeah, I'll be watching him with interest.
I mean, but he's no rookie. He's played 45 tests.
Yeah, but it's against the All Blacks, you know?
Yeah, well, I think it's the speed, like he's been playing up in Europe, was obviously very physical, but coming back to this type of rugby, and you spoke about it before, defensively he's going to be very strong, but whether he can sustain that for the whole 80 would be the thing.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much for coming on. Thanks, James. Thanks, Brent. All the best tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Izzy.
Yeah.
Here we go. Get Eden Park.
Thanks, Kirsty.
7:30.
Eden Park, 8,000.
Thanks very much, Izzy, as well. Of course, lots of rugby going on this weekend, but it was a very sad day today, of course, the funeral of Sir Brian Lochore, the great All Black. And I think the thing that came out of the funeral was he wasn't just a great rugby player, but he was a great man as well. And New Zealand has lost a national treasure, an icon. From the entire kick-off team to the family and close friends, our love and support is with you all. Moi mai rā.
Cheers, BJ.